Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show. We're one day away from Valentine's Day, so we thought it'd be perfect time to talk to an expert. That's why we have Lavonne Wells Sandberg here, who is a life and grief coach. Lavonne, you're a great friend of the station. Thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today.
Thank you for having me, and you're welcome.
Appreciate it. Well, let's get started right away on the topic of maybe people who don't have a date for tomorrow. What advice do you have for people who are looking for their soulmate, actively pursuing their significant other?
Oh, well, oh my goodness. Well, first of all, there is not one soulmate, so there's still hope. And, and I truly believe that there's a match for everyone. And so the first step would be get crystal clear on who you are, what you're about. Go inward, do that work. And that's usually the gauge or the map that will attract that significant person into your life.
That makes sense. No, absolutely. That's a great point. I think a lot of the time when we think about finding someone, if you're interested in finding or looking for someone, you think externally. You don't think the first step is internal, to consider what are my boundaries, what do I want from a relationship, what am I seeking? And
I love that you use the word boundaries, because a lot of times people will say, well, you know, we're all loving, kind people and let everybody in, and it's just so important to set boundaries.
Set boundaries, yeah. It's not a bad thing to have boundaries drawn from the very beginning of the onset of a relationship. I think it's a great thing because, in my opinion, two people come to understand each other better, and they understand, okay, not to step here, not to, you know what I mean? And if your boundaries are conflicting, then it's an obvious right away, hey, maybe this isn't going to work out. You know?
We'll be friends.
Yeah, exactly. We could be friends. Exactly.
Exactly. I love that.
So, what are some resources? I know that you said your love story, I guess you could say, is a good one. You found
great love story.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you met your husband?
Yes, absolutely. And you know, full disclosure, because I've been married twice, and I don't call my ex-husbands exes. I call them former. Because they taught me a lot. They got me ready for this husband.
Yeah.
You know, and I took it as I just learned a lot from all my relationships and experiences. And one day I just decided I'm okay being alone. And I made that decision that I'm okay being alone, and I will never get married again. I've already had 2 of them, you know, and I learned a lot. And then one day I woke up and I just said to myself, but I'm a pretty good catch.
Yeah.
You know, I've got my own little stuff going on, but for the most part, I'm a good person, and I have a match somewhere. I just don't know where the match is. And so I began to write down different things. I wrote it down physically, the things that I was looking for. And I wasn't very specific as far as he has to be 5'8", you know,
No, but the more general stuff, the stuff that you're actually looking to connect with, right? Heart and soul, exactly. Yeah.
So I said, and one of the biggest things, and one of the greatest tools that people can take away is my relationship, the companion that I am attracting, is available emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically, because sometimes you'll get one but not the other, or you get 2 and not the 4. And I did that, and literally a friend of mine said, so what's your next action step that you're going to take? And I thought, well, yeah, do I expect him to be on my doorstep? Well, is it possible? Sure, but I probably should do an extra step.
Yeah, I should probably actively pursue myself, right?
So I literally went on eHarmony and put up a profile, and I just said I'll just be different from all the profiles, just be open, honest, put some quirky stuff up there, and just see where it goes. And I had met maybe 1 or 2 people, and never really went on a date, but just was like still not quite feeling it. And I saw his profile, and all I saw was this great big smile, and he had 2 children, a boy and a girl, and they were so happy. And I went, he's a good father. He's a good man.
You could tell right away.
Yeah, so I sent him a little smile, a winky face, or whatever. And then we went on our first date to the Blue Iguana in Salt Lake, and little did I know he lived right here in Utah, believe it or not.
Oh, wow.
And we haven't been separated since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it started all from what you'd said, kind of figuring out what you wanted in a partner, and physically writing that down. Do you think that step of not just saying, okay, this is what I want, but actually putting those thoughts to paper and making it concrete, I guess you could say. Was that something that really helped in this process for you?
It was huge, because the belief that I couldn't have that in my life, I began to challenge it. And when I wrote it, I'm literally working with my subconscious and telling my subconscious, you don't have to continue to protect me and keep this from me. We're going to do this as a team, you know, or my spirit.
Or your spirit.
Yeah,
so if anything,
it
was like you were limiting yourself.
I was getting in my own way. Most of us get in our own way when it comes to relationships. We sabotage, what we call self-sabotage.
Yes,
absolutely.
Where you kind of start to doubt yourself, doubt everything about it. And that's, like you said, it's your subconscious kind of stepping in and
Or a great story, literally, well, I'm just too much of a woman. No man can handle me.
Yeah.
Lie.
Yeah.
You know, tell the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I told the truth.
Well, and I think that's an important point that you just brought up too, is the fact that we need to be not just honest with other people, but honest with ourselves. It's very easy to lie to yourself, I think, especially if you're kind of in that mindset, if you're kind of blocking yourself out from those opportunities, it's easy to just kind of let them slip by if you're telling yourself.
Another thing with attracting that soulmate, I believe that that a lot of times we're addicted to being alone, or we're addicted to our own drama, or we're addicted to the story, we're addicted to the sadness. It's an addiction, people.
How about the addiction to the self-persona of my social media presence, or being online constantly?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was something that I was going to kind of want to hop into next. Was, say you found that person, what's advice for Valentine's Day? Because for Sarah and I, my girlfriend and I, a big thing for us is tuning out of the world surrounding us and just being connected together. So that means turning off phones, turning off all electronics. Disconnecting
from the world. And
which 10 years ago, maybe it sounded like, oh, that's not so crazy. Today, it's like, that's almost like unheard of. It's like social suicide in a way, you know? To completely disconnect from all of your friends and everything that's going on social media.
Well, you're going to lose your place on the newsfeed on Facebook.
Oh my goodness, what a big deal. How, you know, but at least that we're going to be able to connect like we're supposed to, you know?
Absolutely.
So I think that's very important, like you said, to kind of just disconnect from that surrounding everything that's going on and just tap into your relationship and focus in on that.
And if you don't have someone for Valentine's, be your Valentine.
Yeah,
seriously.
I love that. I love that. That's great.
Be your best. I just got
chills. You just gave me chills too. Holy moly.
Be your Valentine.
Really though, I think a lot of self-love is very important. I think that's the first step to finding someone that is truly, that loves you, and you have to be able to love yourself in order to love someone else, in order to project that out. And
you really want to attract someone that truly does love you, so get with it with yourself.
I love that advice, because I think there's a lot of pressure on people to try and find it at like last second even on Valentine's Day, like just for the sole fact of having someone on Valentine's Day.
Do not settle. Do not settle.
I love that, because it's like, treat yourself.
Yeah.
Be kind and love yourself first. Just if you don't have, you know, that's amazing. That's great.
Please learn from us.
Yes.
You don't have to go out and make some of those interesting choices.
Right. What other advice do you have for us, Lavonne?
Oh my goodness. Oh, let's see. Keep breathing.
Keep breathing. Just keep
breathe through the process. Seriously. And again, take yourself out to the movies if you don't have that significant other. Get yourself some flowers. Write yourself a note. You know what I did when I was single? I had a little red book and nothing else went in there, and I wrote love letters to myself because I was just wanting to retrain the way I was thinking and the way I was speaking and the way I was showing up, you know? And then for people that are in relationship, like you said, disconnect from social media. We don't care about the news feed and losing your status. And if you do, then maybe there's some therapy you deserve to go to.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of them out there that are willing to assist you with that.
364 other days in the year to be on social media. Just take one day to just be connected as a human being with another human being who loves you dearly, I'm sure.
Yes, absolutely. And I think also write those little, sticky notes never get old. Write the
little things.
Little tiny things.
It's truly.
Write up those sticky notes, and while your significant other is sleeping, stick them everywhere, all around them, all around the room, or all over the car, or inside the car. Just go out of the way to do simple things that it doesn't cost much.
It truly is the very little thoughtful things that matter the most in a relationship.
Yeah,
truly,
absolutely.
Truly. Lavonne, you are fantastic. You give some of the best advice and the
best insights, because I don't give advice.
I guess no, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, because they know what to do.
No, it's true. And you're not just giving, like you said, you're not giving advice. This is all based off your own personal experience, which is I think a beautiful thing.
This is what I did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you're not saying that this is going to work for everyone, but this is something that I can provide to you. You know.
Yeah.
You are a public speaker. What talks do you have coming up? Where can people kind of stay in touch with everything, Lavonne?
Yes, I have what is called Connections and Insights, and that's coming up on the 22nd. It's a Thursday evening, and so I do that every fourth Thursday of the month. And I also have a talk that's called Life After Life, and I kind of talk more about where do we go after we've lost a loved one, and what do we do from here, and offer some tools, supporting tools, and walking people through that. So I have a lot of different things going on, but the best way to find out the different events is on my website, and that's just www.lavonnewells.com with 2 N's and an E at the end.
2 N's and an E, remember that.
Lavonne.
Well, Lavonne, thank you so much. As always, we love having you on the show.
Love being
here. You give
here.
some great insights like you'd said, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Rock
Can't wait
on.
to talk to you next time.
Same.
Excellent. We have much more coming up here on the Mountain Morning Show. As we start to wrap up this day, we have another interview coming up right after this, so don't go anywhere.